Thankfully, we live in 2019. In our age, killer viruses and diseases like smallpox, polio, measles, mumps, and rubella really aren't too much of an issue, especially in first world countries. But travel back 100 years and these illnesses had us dropping like flies. Now that a lot of these sicknesses have been taken to the brink of eradication, what would happen if we stopped inoculating? Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that looks to answer many a query, especially ones that implicate a high death toll. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today I'm asking, what if we stopped vaccinations? Oof. Before we get into this video, I want you guys to let me know the last time you had an injection. I have an HPV vaccination coming up in a month, and for all of the ladies watching, please do consider getting one if you are eligible. Cervical cancer is not a drama that you want to go through. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and of course don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and stick around to the end of the video where I'll be reading replies to previous videos. Hurrah! So, vaccination. What is vaccination? Vaccination is like a training exercise for your body. Small, weakened forms of a disease are injected into you, allowing your body to make antibodies. Now, antibodies are our natural defense system. The amount of disease injected into us allows for us to build up an army of defense, but it's so small that we won't actually get sick. Then, if we're ever exposed to the disease or sickness for reals, we already have the defense in place to fight it away before we get ill and infectious. Most people think our history with vaccination began with Edward Jenner in the late 1700s when he found a way to inoculate people with cowpox to stop them developing the much more serious smallpox. But actually, there are records of early Chinese inoculation from the Middle Ages. Some even claim they were doing it as early as 200 BCE. Vaccination hit its stride from the 1960s as we began finding ways to prevent major killers and distribute medications. The 9th of December 1979 was a major date in history. It was the day that smallpox, a disease that killed 300 million people in the 20th century alone, was finally eradicated. While the vast majority of people will agree that vaccination is wildly positive, there are a small minority of people out there known as Antivaxxers. These are people who don't agree with vaccinations and refuse inoculation. In 2019, the World Health Organization, or WHO, named the Antivaxxers as one of their top 10 global health threats. The reasons they pose are often in defense of their civil liberties, and others think that actually vaccinations are working to make them ill. Now, despite their concerns, extensive scientific research has been conducted that disproves this, and indeed, there is overwhelming evidence that vaccinations save millions, if not billions of lives. The debate actually is nothing new. During his reign, Chinese Emperor Kang came up against anti-vaxxers. He knew what was up. In a letter written in 1661 to his descendants, he wrote, "The method of inoculation having been brought to light during my reign, I had it used upon you, my sons and my daughters and my descendants, and you all passed through the smallpox in the happiest possible manner. In the beginning, when I had it tested on 1 or 2 people, some old women taxed me with extravagance and spoke very strongly against inoculation. The courage which I summoned up to insist on this practice has saved the lives and healths of millions of men. This is extremely important. It is something that I am very proud of." So, he knew it, he got it, he did it. But what if we stopped? We stopped dead, we stop now. What then? Disease, if you please. The short answer is that diseases we thought we saw the back of would re-emerge and we would start getting sick. Let me explain why. Let's have a look at a few case studies here. In the span of 5 years, Japan managed to lead itself into a whooping cough epidemic. In 1974, 80% of Japanese children were receiving the whooping cough vaccination. In that year, there were just 393 cases of the illness in the whole country, and no whooping cough related deaths. Now fast forward just 5 years, and immunization rates dropped super low to just 10%. That year, 13,000 people contracted whooping cough, with 41 people dying of it. When vaccination rates went up again, the disease numbers dropped again. Similarly, several measles outbreaks have occurred in recent years in the United States, including large outbreaks in New York City and Texas, among groups with low vaccination rates. The evidence goes to show that if vaccination rates drop to low levels, diseases could become as common as they were before vaccines were introduced. While measles, mumps, rubella and polio, the big historic killers, have been quelled with vaccination, the diseases unlike smallpox, still exist. They have not been eradicated. While those who have already been vaccinated will be safe, those who have not will be vulnerable. Now, I found a really great image flow diagram illustrating how immunization makes a difference. As you can see, when sick people are placed in a group of healthy, unimmunized people, sickness can spread quickly. When some people are immunized, it spreads more slowly, and when everyone's immunized, it can't spread at all. If we stopped vaccinating, the younger generations and the unvaccinated older generations would be the ones to get sick. Let's take polio for an example. Before immunization, there were around 350,000 cases of polio worldwide. The World Health Organization estimated that without previous immunization efforts, more than 17 million people who are currently healthy would have been paralyzed by the virus. Similarly, they estimate that if we stopped vaccinating, 2.7 million measles deaths worldwide could be expected. People getting sick and dying is one thing, but not all illnesses will kill you. Some illnesses that can be vaccinated against now can actually cause mental disabilities or physical deformities to those who contract it. For example, prior to immunization, about 1 of every 200 US children under the age of 5 got an invasive HIV disease, which then led them to get mental disabilities. If we stopped vaccinating and immunizing, we would have millions of people who needed lifelong special care, and it would have been avoidable. Okay, I could go on naming diseases that will kill you or mess you up, but honestly, you get the point. If you have been immunized, you might think, sod the millions of people dying or being harmed for life, at least I'm safe, but then you would be wrong. The tricky thing about disease is that bacteria finds a way to mutate and new illnesses form. Just because you are safe from X, Y, and Z sicknesses doesn't mean you'd be safe against a new pathogen, and they're constantly being unleashed. Right now, the permafrost in Siberia is melting as a result of warmer climes, which means that ancient diseases are being unleashed once again. Right now, that totally sucks, but at least we can preempt what may be coming and find ways to protect people if it ever does happen, whereas a blanket stop on vaccination would mean that we're all vulnerable. Also, that smallpox that was eradicated, you might want to know that actually there are still a couple of strains left being kept in secure labs. What if they were broken out? Then what happens? Smallpox again? I know I haven't been immunized against it. Long story short, immunization and vaccination save lives, and if you don't get yourself or your children injected and protected, you are part of the issue. Without it, hundreds of millions of people would die each year, and spread would be even faster as our population booms. Don't get me wrong, I very much understand the concern with giving power to pharmaceutical overlords, which is why vaccinations and immunizations should be free, and I do agree with asking questions, always, obviously. But when the overwhelming scientific evidence is in favor of injecting, well, you aren't just putting yourself at risk by ignoring it. So guys, do you feel like you know more about vaccination now? I certainly hope so. If you have any further questions, why not leave them in the comments section down below, because even if I can't answer them, perhaps somebody reading might be able to. Before I go, I just want to read some comments from What If an Asteroid Destroyed the Moon? Now, I did make a slip of a tongue and said million instead of billion at one point in that video when I was talking about the age of the Earth, so I am sorry about that, and I hope that you got what I was saying. If it was million, we'd be very, very young. Chasson Brown said, I liked what was said at the end in response to Eric. It's true. Without curiosity and exploration, we would all probably be extinct because we couldn't adapt to our surroundings. Exactly, that's what I was trying to get at. Good Money 4980 said, Rebecca just served Eric life's biggest mic drop. Bam! Sorry Eric, nothing personal. I'm just passionate about curiosity. I love it. I need it. Broach McTeague said, I love it when your videos have a stronger scientific element. Honestly, me too. Space videos, science videos, they're my absolute favorite, but I do love a good humble what if. So guys, do let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to thank me because you liked it, please do leave a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Also, do be sure to click on that big, beautiful notification bell to stay up to date with future postings. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate. I'll catch you in the next video, but until then, please do stay curious, stay alert, vaccinate, and never ever stop questioning.